Blessings to you today. Blessings to you today. Of course, this here is Stephen Evans of Mindset Matters. I am hoping so much today that your day is off to a wonderful, wonderful start. Again, this is Stephen Evans with Mindset Matters. Of course, I am the CEO of Stephen Evans Consulting, LLC. I'm so glad that you took time just to touch base with this podcast today. And of course, I am working in conjunction with two people that I absolutely love. I give them a shout out every week. I give them a shout out every podcast, but I got to. That is my partner in this, Mr. T. McBride of empoweredbyhope.org. Once again, that's Mr. T. McBride, empoweredbyhope.com, and of course, .org, and of course, our technical advisor, technical support, technical lead, the person who is responsible for bringing this to you, Mr. Alex. And of course, as I always say, Mr. Alex, he is a technical guru. Please visit the site, click on the pictures that you see on Empowered by Hope. That's going to give you a little bit more detailed information about who we are, what we do, our background, etc., etc. Amen. I want to get right into our podcast today. And as I've shared in some of my other podcasts, everything I'm bringing to you is actual information that has been shared over many, many years with our staff on the areas of education. And the primary focus, of course, always is leadership development, education and leadership development. But I believe that everything that I'm sharing with you guys is applicable to the family, also applicable to business, also applicable to life. So even though my big focus is education, I want to be able to bridge how all of these work in conjunction with each other. And boy, I got a good message here I found in my notes, and it was called shadow work. Shadow work. That's my topic for today. Shadow work. As we think about the word shadow, the first thing that we think about is those things that are unseen. Those are things that are in the darkness. They're there and they're unseen. And these things that exist in the shadow work, there's a possibility that these things can be seen as a negative, but there also can be seen much as a positive, of which I would like to focus my attention on, the shadow works that are in the positive side of things. Are you with me so far? Shadow work. Those things that are happening that we can't see. I did a message in one of my prior podcasts about subliminals. Subliminals are those things that we can see them. We may not understand them, but we can see them. But the shadow work is those things that are happening that we just can't see, but there is a manifestation of that. I hope that you're following me on this. There is a shadow work that is being done in leadership, and you may not be able to see the manifestation of that, but it is moving. Shadow work. That's why it is so important that our mindset as it relates to leadership, are you following me? The mindset as it relates to leadership is in the right place. There is some shadow work being done that we may not be able to see. By definition, and there are some, if you will take a look at that, Google whatever you want to do with it. But the shadow work, it is one of those repressed things. It's not something that we're always conscious of. It may be dark to us, especially in our younger age. But as we get older, I hope that some of this will be more enlightening to you. But in our mindsets, if we're not careful, this shadow work, it is one of those things that happens in an unconscious state. Wow. These are the development pieces to our conscious self-image. I hope you're getting this. It leads to a greater awareness of who we are. It is our emotional wholeness. And it develops into an authentic sense of self. Shadow works. It leads to a greater awareness of who we are. Our emotional wholeness. The authentic understanding of self. But the thing about shadow work that you must get is that this is a development. It is a development. And this development is the manifestation of a pouring into. Wow. It is the manifestation of the pouring into. What are you saying with this, Evans? What are you saying with this, Evans? You went pretty deep at this. From the time we are born into this world and through our life, we are constantly being poured into. And the pouring into, whether we knowledgeable of this or not, manifests itself into a pouring out. Whatever is being poured into us from the womb manifests itself into the pouring out. It's a shadow work. We can't always see how this thing is going to turn out. We don't understand sometimes the importance of our leadership and the pouring in. That there's going to be a day that there's going to be a pouring out. I hope that you're following me on this. As leaders, and as you've gotten from many of my podcasts before, I believe that each and every one of us are leaders. Whether you want to accept that or not, there is someone that you are pouring into. And this shadow work, if we're not careful about what we're pouring in, you may not be able to see what the manifestation of that pouring out is going to be. I believe you understand what I'm getting a better understanding now. As leaders, and I'm talking to educators right now, but for the educators, I'm hoping that somehow you can get this message to the parents. I hope that you can get this somehow to the business leaders, your supervisors, whoever is in leadership. I'm praying that they are getting this information, because whether they are knowledgeable of this or not, there is a shadow work that is taking place. There is a pouring in that's taking place. There is something that you are contributing to as far as someone's self-awareness. You are contributing to someone's emotional wholeness. You are contributing to someone's authenticity. As a leader, you are developing that. And we as leaders, we must always be guarding our minds. The Bible says that we need to be minding ourselves each and every day, because even in leadership, if we're not careful, there's people that's still pouring into us. There are still people who are pouring into us. Always developing our self-awareness. Always working on our emotional wellness, always working on more authentication of who we are. Your mindset about situations, it matters. You are continuously being developed. And sometimes it is a shadow work. We don't even see that it's happening. The pouring in and the pouring out. I have said this before. I will stand by it. I really believe it. I believe, and like I say, I'm talking to myself today. I'm speaking to myself today. I'm speaking to myself today. I'm reminding myself today. I'm speaking to myself. I'm reminding myself today that, and as I always say, please don't turn me off because I got some faith-based messages in here. But as I always say, if it's good information, it's good information. Don't care about where it comes from. If it's good information, it's good information. It doesn't matter where it comes from. If it's right, it's right. If it's good, it's good. And no matter who you are, you know yourself what is right, and you know and also what is good. You know that. You know that. You know that. You know that. So in looking at this, it is my belief that God allows his most powerful people. And sometimes we don't understand that. That's why we can get things jacked up. The most powerful thing, precious thing, good thing is a newborn life. Those babies. And I also believe that with each one of these children, they have the potential of changing today and changing tomorrow. You hear people say that these are the children are our future. Yes, they are. And any of us in education who have the opportunity to work with children, I believe this is the most powerful position that a person can hold. It is the most powerful position a person can hold. Because in the education system, even though some things are broken, many times that we get them, and I believe, and many educators who are listening to this, and I'm going to say this also to business leaders, I'm going to also say this to church families, I'm going to say this to anyone who's in a leadership position whereby people are coming to you for building, that if we do right, we have the potential of correcting some of the social ills. Because most of the people, and I'm going to say this particularly to educators, the people who come to us, they come from their environments, and I believe as best they can, the environments, I want to always be positive of this, are doing the best that they can. Based on what has been poured into them, and now they're pouring that out. In the educational arena, we see every social ill. Whatever's going on in our social system that's not right, it finds itself in the classroom. Can you believe that? Now, if you're not in education, you may not understand what I just said. But every social ill, everything that's going good in our society, we see it. And everything that's going not so good, we see that in the classroom as well. Every social ill that's happening, as an educator, I think you would agree that we see that in the classroom. But we as educators, if we understand the importance of the shadow work, as educational leaders, that's our counselors, that's our teachers, that's our cafe workers, that's our dean of students, that's our assistant principal, our principal, our superintendents, that is our school board members, everyone who comes in contact with those children, if we are mindful of our shadow work, if we're mindful of our shadow work, we have the ability to influence those social ills. I want to speak to the parents about this. Parents, if you're listening to this, what are you pouring into your children? What is the shadow work that's being done? What are you doing? What are you saying right now? The shadow work that you may not see today, what has been taught, what has been poured into, but there will come a day of the pouring out of that. Did you get that? I don't know what the pouring in of that is, but there's going to be a pouring out of that. To the husbands, to the wives, to the significant others, as we come into our relationships with each other, bringing the shadow work with us. Sometimes the one that we marry, sometimes the one that we are involved with, sometimes the one that we care the most about. We see a portion of them, but sometimes we don't see the shadow work. We don't get to see until we're well involved all that has been poured into them. And at the right time, we begin to see the pouring out of that pouring. I hope that you're following me on this. As we do our shadow work, we may not be conscious of that. But as best we can as leaders, as parents, we must be mindful of what we say to our children. Are we building an intellectual person? Are we concerned about their learning? Do we take a little bit of time to see what they're learning in school each day? Do we take time to do that? Do we take time for their little self-esteem? Do we say good stuff to them? Or is it always negative? As parents, and as I say this to the parents, teachers, I hope you're listening. Do we get a chance to build their self-awareness? Teaching them in this self-awareness, these are things that are good, these are things that's not good. It's not okay to say whatever you want to say to people. There's some people out there who may be listening to this who say, I have the right to say whatever I want to say. No, you don't. No, you do not. You don't have the right to say whatever you want to say to somebody. Somebody has did some shadow work on you whereby you think that you have the right to say whatever you want to say. But the word says, and listen to this, you do not belong to yourself. I'm going to say that again. There's a word that says we do not belong to ourselves. There are some who think that I live in this world by myself. I can say whatever I want to do. It only affects me. I want to do this. 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 What I do is what I do. It's much greater than that. It's much greater than that. And anyone who is in that mindset, you are the result, and I say this in love, and I hope that you receive this. I'm not making any types of judgments on anyone. I'm not making any judgments to anyone. But if you have a mindset that you can say and do whatever you want to do to anyone, you are the result of some shadow work. Someone has poured that into you. And as a result of that, consciously or unconsciously, you pour that out. You pour that out. You pour it out. I'm not going to spend too much more time on this. I think you understand what I'm saying here today. As educators, as leaders, and I speak to myself even as I speak to you. Today, tomorrow, let's try to be just a little bit more conscious of the shadow work. Being mindful of what's been poured into me. Am I pouring that out? Am I the result of shadow work? Well, there's some things done unconsciously, said unconsciously to me, and as a result of that, my emotional state. This is where I am. This is what they say to me. This is what this is. I'm not thinking about what my shadow work. Shadow work. So as I end this today, and I'm just about done here. As we move out into our social system today, to the classroom teachers, to the supervisors, no matter where you are, the business world, in the ministry, where you are, be mindful of your shadow work. What are you pouring in? Because there is a high probability that someone is looking at you as a leader, someone is listening to you as a leader, and that mindset that you have, there's a great chance that someone is listening. We may not see the manifestation of the work that's been done behind the scenes. We may not see the effect on their emotional wellness. We may not see the effect of their authenticity. We may not see the reflection of that. We may not see their awareness. We may not get the chance to see the positive traits. We may not be able to see the negative traits. We may not be able to see the hidden talents. We may not be able to see the blessed talents. But please know that the work that you are doing, what you are saying, what you are pouring into them, there is going to be a pouring out of that. Shadow work. I pray that you received that today. I hope that you understand that. The shadow work. It is the reflection of our pouring in. It is the reflection of our mindsets. For those of you in education, for those of you in leadership, which is everyone, be mindful of your mindset as you interact with people. Because there very well may be shadow work that's being done. There may be shadow work. What are you saying to people? How are you presenting yourself to other people? What are you saying to people? Are you a person and your vessel is half full or half empty? Are you a person that's more positive or more negative? Are you a person that empowers? Or are you a person who oppresses? Are you a person who is a liar? Or are you a person who, as best you can, always telling the truth? Are you a person who stands up for those things that are good and right, justice? Or are you a person who stands with those things that you know are not right? Shadow work. What are you pouring out to the ones that you care about, the ones that you love, the ones that the Lord has placed in your life? What are you pouring out? What are you pouring into them? What are you pouring into them? What are you teaching them? The shadow work. I may not see the manifestation of it, but there will be a pouring out of your leadership. There's going to be a pouring out of your leadership. And even as I said, I speak to myself today. I say this with no judgment to anyone. I say this today in love, making us conscious every single day as best we can. Every single day as best we can. Every single day as best we can. And this is not an easy thing to do, to always be positive, to always try to do the right thing. It is not an easy thing to do. But the more we become aware of our shadow work, the more we become conscious of our shadow work, hopefully the more responsible of our pouring out. Hopefully, as we become more knowledgeable that there is some shadow work being done. I may not see today what I've said. I may not see the results of what I said today. I may not see the results of what I said today, but I'm a leader and someone is listening. Somebody heard that. And depending on their mindset, will that saying from you find itself pouring out on someone else? Did you get that? I wonder today that in my shadow work, the things that I have said, the things that I have did, maybe I won't see it. Maybe I won't see the manifestation of that. But I pray that the pouring out of that, I pray that the pouring out of that would be a good thing. I thank you for your time today. I thank you for your time today. I thank you for taking time to listen to Mindset Matters today. Thank you for taking time today. If you like what you heard today, as always, please hit subscribe. Please hit subscribe. Please forward this to someone who may benefit from this. Hit like. Please leave me a couple comments. I love you today. I pray that it was a blessing to you. And remember, I hold no judgment with anything. Everything that I've said to you today, I've said to myself. Everything that I've said to you today, I was speaking to myself. Shadow work. I want to be a little bit better today. Shadow work. This is Stephen Evans of Stephen Evans Consulting. Of course, to my colleagues, Mr. T. McBride of empoweredbyhope.org, and to Mr. Alex, our technical advisor. Thank you for your support. Love you guys. To everyone who's listening, love you. Have a super day today. Be mindful of your shadow work. Amen.